Hello, everyone. Welcome to Branding Bud Live, the live stream that's 100% THC, 0% WTF. Every week, we bring business people together to talk about the business of cannabis. I'm David Palashuk, the founder of Branding Bud Consulting Group and the author of Branding Bud, the Commercialization of Cannabis, the first book on cannabis branding. And I'm here with my co-host, Adriana Hemans, a marketing executive with 8 years experience in cannabis. Hey, Adriana, I'm really excited about today's show.
Hey, David, how are you? Oops, I have a little echo. Hang on one second.
I'm doing well.
Hi.
Well.
Oh, hi, Jai. Thank you for joining us. Just want to say hi to everybody who I see kind of rolling in here. One thing that makes Branding Bud Live unique and special is that we really highly encourage audience interaction. So if this is your first time joining us, please don't be shy. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Tell us your name, where you're from. Tell us if it's snowing where you are, which reminds me, David, is it still snowing in Seattle?
It is not snowing now, but there is certainly snow just outside, and it is very cold here in Seattle. So, hence my t-shirt, because the heat is turned up.
Jay, yeah. Sorry I mispronounced your name. I'll remember that next time. Thank you.
Pronunciation is everything. You know, speaking of which, we have a brand today and a brand owner. The brand is called Califari. And speaking of pronunciation, and we have Jason McHugh. Jason is just an amazing person, super talented, has a background which we're going to get into, which is, amazing in terms of creativity and the people he's worked with and the projects he's worked on. And he's taken that experience into the cannabis space. So we're pretty excited to chat with him. You ready to introduce him?
I'm ready. Let's bring him out.
Let's do it. Jason McHugh. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome.
Am I echoing?
No, you're good. You're good. Great. You sound good.
Great.
So, Jason, we're so excited to talk to you. Let's just kick it off and find out a little bit more about you. Tell us about your background, what you're passionate about.
Okay. Thanks for having me. And, I'm certainly passionate about all things cannabis and creativity. Both have played huge roles in my life, really starting as a kid. I had hippie parents who had a psychedelic poster company called East Totem West. And my dad, his joke for that was that it was an advertising agency for LSD. That was his joke that he told me later. I got that joke in high school when I started going to lots of Grateful Dead concerts and psychedelics. And that's where I started my first business, which was a t-shirt company. That was, in high school, selling creative designs for, influenced by Grateful Dead songs. So that's sort of where creativity and cannabis kicked off for me, and then eventually went to college and kind of switched gears. But that's sort of where it all started, I guess.
Very cool. It's funny. I just want to call out Aaron Sal's just chimed in the chat here, and he was actually the one that reached out to me earlier today. We were speaking just before the show went live, and he had said that he was at the dentist's and he would try to make the show. We were joking how some of the viewers prefer Branding Bud Live over a dentist visit. So
we're moving up in the world.
Yes, we are less painful. Branding Bud Live, less painful than a dentist visit.
We have also a fan of Califari in the audience, Wendy. Thanks, Wendy.
Awesome. Okay. Yes. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Aaron. I hope everything's going up there with your teeth and with everybody in the earthquake country of Humboldt and Trinity County and Mendo. And Wendy, I hope you're doing good in Florida.
Right on. So, one of the things that when we thought about creativity in cannabis, I mean, Jason, you absolutely jumped to the fore. You have been around creativity, as you said, since a kid. But, some of the projects and people I know that you've worked with, are the Beastie Boys and Spike Jonze and Trey Parker. You've produced Cannibal the musical, and you see that creativity, come out in Califari's brand and as a brand language. So would you talk a little bit about how your experience has really informed what you currently do today?
Uh, yeah, okay. I mean, so I mean, yeah, so I have a creative background, just as a kid, but yeah, in college, um, I became a film major at CU Boulder, and that's where I met Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and we produced this movie, Cannibal the Musical. It was like basically what you'd call kind of like a calling card movie, which was a very wacky film about a cannibal based on a true story in Colorado, and and that basically was like the entity that drove us to Hollywood on a couch surfing trip, an extended couch surfing trip. That's where well, basically, couch surfing through Hollywood and waiting for the phone to ring. That's where I was lucky enough to work on jobs with people like Spike Jonze and the Beastie Boys. I got to do an incredible weekend playing cops and robbers, basically with the Beastie Boys. And I don't know. So there's the ninth, so yeah, basically the 90s and the early 2000s. I have worked with some incredible people, and basically, all those experiences, led to kind of the creativity that you see coming out of Califari. Like we knew we had to do something creative, something that involves storytelling and music. Really like for Califari, our perfect trifecta is when we can combine cannabis, art, and music together. So that's sort of like, as a brand, that's always been one of our goals. So yeah, taking film, TV, festival.com 1.0 and all those experiences are sort of what has like informed us in building the brand Califari. So
Very cool. And just quickly, if you don't mind, tell us about the name. There seems like there's a nod to a number of different things, and I don't know what's intended or what I'm reading into. Would you share a little bit about that?
yeah, sure. So yeah, I think some of my best cannabis connections came, as a kid, so I was basically, it's like in the early 2000s, I had this incredible summer job working for Perry Farrell and Lollapalooza, doing this game called Minefield, where it was a text messaging prankster game. And so that's what I did in the summer. And then my friend Teal would call me up in October, and I would go trimming for him in October. And so that's basically what was my first time sort of being in the cannabis industry at any level. And we had a great time, basically. I turned off all my notifications except my phone's ringing here, which
your landline, you're in high demand. Hopefully
it's landline ring.
We're calling you.
All right. So sorry.
If you want to go answer that, we can totally introduce our game.
No, it's okay. It's picked up. But basically, so working around the trimmer table, where we basically, get really creative and just be talking about ideas and all these kind of things. And really during that time, I was kind of like considered most of I was like a festival whore. I was like at every Burning Man. I was at Bonnaroo. My job was working Lollapalooza. So I was really just kind of living and breathing festival life. And that's really like sort of where my own sort of personal spirituality was stemming from, the things that would drive my personal happiness were coming from those experiences and sort of filling my soul. And so around the trim table, I was like, what's the brand name for my personal spirituality, that revolves around somewhere between Burning Man, New Orleans Jazz Fest, and Reggae on the River. And so Califari was coined there. And then Cam, who's our present creative director, I called her up. She's been someone I've collaborated with tons over the years. And we came up with our first logo, which is just this, the bear carrying the flag with the California flag. And we just made this logo. Then it turns out, my friend had a lot of extra trim and no one was doing anything with it. So we started a little edibles line just with like baked goods, and it was just basically kind of a friends and family and that kind of thing that we were selling to. But we made the logo, and then with the money we built a little website and did t-shirts and stickers, and we were doing it for fun. I was like, for a minute, I was like looking into like the business of being a cannabis church. So I was thinking about that as a potential business model. But then I was thinking more traditionally. I was like, I can't see myself getting on the pulpit every Sunday and running a church. So we opted for a lifestyle brand, as that's sort of what we launched with in 2015. But the brand had really started in about 2008. But 2015 was when we got serious and started an LLC. And started, basically making a real company that was, just from like a hobby to something that started as part-time and then eventually became full-time.
Church or lifestyle brand? They're
I
so
lifestyle. Related,
right?
I just
Go ahead, David.
I'm sorry. When you said that, you really got my mind going. It's like religion 2.0, like now it comes with merch too.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah. I mean, instead of donating, you just pay for merch, it's a more honest transaction, really, so, but yeah, I mean, hey, who knows? We're a company that's still pivoting. So that.
Jay commented in the chat, trim table talk better than most podcasts, and gave me idea, David. I think our next show is going to be called Trim Table Talks.
There's something to that. I mean, there's something to that, because I mean, I've had some very, because you're there for a while, so you can have some long interpersonal conversations, and really get to know your co-trimmers for sure.
I want to hear from our audience too. I'm curious, since we're talking about music festivals, I want to know, what's your favorite music festival you've ever been to, or the most memorable? Maybe it wasn't a great experience. Maybe it was just a memorable experience.
For me?
For anyone who wants to chime in and talk about a festival experience, or just mention one that stands out in their mind. And while we're doing that, I think we should actually launch our first quiz game.
Yeah, well,
we should.
Let's do it.
Participation component.
All right. Okay, so this is the debut. This is the first time we're playing this game, and it's called Who Said It? So we have a quote up here, and we have 4 people who potentially may have said it. And audience, please take a guess as to who it is. The quote is this: to be successful, you have to look at trends just outside the cannabis industry. That means looking at what's happening in the wellness or food and beverage space. There are 4 options. Number 1 is Dinesh Penugonda, who is the Vice President of Retail Operations at Curaleaf. Option B is Angela Pai, marketing innovator and the creator of Gem & Jane. Option C is Nancy Whiteman, the CEO of Wana Brands. And option D is Christina Aducci, founder and CEO of House of Puff. Who said it? I see a few guesses rolling in. I see 1 guess for Nancy, 1 guess for Angela Pai. Let's see who else wants to weigh in here. Jacqueline guessed Nancy Whiteman too. All right, a couple more people are feeling option C, Nancy Whiteman.
What do you
Jason,
think?
You want to take a guess?
Yeah.
You want me to guess?
Guess D, Max.
What do you think, Jason?
I think it's the woman from Wana Brands, Nancy,
who has done some amazing things, including recently created a charitable organization and donated the company donated quite a bit. So bravo to her and Wana Brands.
Cool. Wow. I see a couple more guesses for Christina Aducci, who, by the way, Christina will be on our show in a couple weeks. Do you know the date offhand, David, that she'll be on?
Not offhand, but
very soon.
I do want to say the 1st or 2nd week of January.
Very cool. Yes, she's awesome. All right. Anyone else want to guess, or should we reveal the answer?
Let's reveal it. Drum roll, please.
Let's reveal it. And the winner is Nancy Whiteman. Very good guess, everybody. I think we had probably most of our guesses were for Nancy.
Yes.
She's famous.
She's an all-star.
and our votes, our guesses and our votes. So, let's get back to. Thank you, audience, for participating. Jason, I'm curious, to talk about the brand, and the Califari brand, and basically, how art plays a role in it. Art is the language of the brand, but could you talk a little bit through that and how you've created art based around strains, and you've created a number of products, and everything from skateboards all the way through to everything you can think of. Would you just talk us through how you leveraged art into the brand and how to?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. So in over the years and just studying branding books, like I've actually geeked out on a lot of branding books besides your fabulous book, which I recommend to everybody. But just in kind of just understand like what's important for brands and things like that. One of the things that struck me was that if you can find a niche to be number one at, that's something that great brands do. And the other is to have a mission. We're not just here to sell weed or sell art necessarily. We're on a mission to tell the story and discover the personality of modern cannabis, through strain art, and I think, the strains that people name, some of them are beautifully named, some of them are super wacky, but that's like the culture coming from the plant and the farmer, and that we honor and we think is really important, so through art and through this mission, part of that, what we're also, trying to achieve is sort of embodying like the spiritual experience between the consumer and the plant lover. So if we can make a piece of art, that strikes people, and give a memory to, last week or 5 years ago, or when they maybe had a special time with that special strain, or just can create that connection. That's sort of what we're looking to do with our art, and with our brand, so that's, yeah. So like art is our language, and it's our mission, to tell a story through the art, and then, as I was just thinking about this in general too, now we're doing more apparel. Like we've gone from posters, we're getting into hats, and we're probably going to be doing. But one of the things fun about that is, we don't do huge pot leaves. And then when we were setting out on a mission, I was telling our artists that, one of the things, you can't use large pot leaves, because basically all the cannabis art that's leading up to now, it's just always this giant pot leaf. That's basically it. So I sort of set the challenge that you gotta make these designs without using the leaf, because that's we're trying to describe the strain and not just cannabis in general. So now after we created a large body of that work, now we'll let some leaves in here and there, but by and large, it's there's no leaves. And so that's what's fun about that, is you could, wear a Pineapple Express hat or sour diesel hat, to work, or somewhere out in public. And, it's like, if and if you don't know, you don't know. So like maybe you see someone wearing a sour diesel hat and you're not a cannabis person, you're like, oh, that's like a cute lemon farmer. But if you're a cannabis lover and you see someone wearing that sour diesel hat, you're like, okay, I'm going to maybe go say hi to that guy and see what's up, So
you're almost
now
making like little subcultures within a subculture.
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of like, now I'm thinking it's a way for people to find each other out there that are like-minded individuals, but also but don't want to advertise, hey, I'm a stoner, to like everybody that they're walking by, So
And what I find so intriguing about your brand's visuals, right, and the imagery, is that well, one, it's not stony. I mean, there's a nod to it, and again, there's maybe a wing to it, right? But there's like an Art Deco feel. Then there's like a trippy LSD 70s vibe. There's like a Peter Max. There's all these different feels, which sort of this mashup, creates something unique and special.
And we're going to throw some of these slides up so we can actually look at the art as we talk through it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
really
look,
cool.
just to answer that, just David, yeah. So it's like we're creating, we've been growing what we call a global artist network. So we now have 30 artists that are from 10 different countries, you know, pretty equal male, female, between the artist contributors. And, you know, part of the notion is just that, you know, especially now with legalization coming out, there's more and more people are coming out of the woodworks as cannabis lovers. So there's not one type of cannabis lovers. It's not all the deadhead hippie, you know, it's the younger millennial. It's all types. So, so as much as we can sort of create art that can appeal to all types, you know, the better. That's sort of the mission, but each one is niche, you know. Someone who likes the, you know, say the forbidden fruit design might not like the motor breath design that we have, you know, which is like a scary monster truck driving through wreckage, you know. So yeah, hopefully there's something for different types. And one of the fun things is when we do events and, you know, a couple approaches our booth and they're arguing about, you know, which designs they want to take, and it's definitely a little, you know, window into people's personality.
Are these all different artists? Each one is a different artist?
Yeah. So, well, so we have about 30, up to 30 contributing artists, and some artists have done, you know, I think the biggest contributor has done 5 or 6 designs. You know, a few have just done one-offs. A lot of do 2 or 3. When I started, I was like, everyone's going to do 3 and then they're done. But over time, there's just people that just, you know, just some people become unattainable. Some people are just easy to work with, you know. We had a few of our artists blow up during the NFT craze, you know, and stop doing commissions because they just became famous and well paid during that year. So, which is like awesome. So that just makes me happy to see our artists get too big and famous to work with us. So that's,
yeah. We're definitely going to get into that NFT topic in a second. But before we move on to the next slide, can you share us a little bit about the artists that created these 2 that we're looking at right now?
Yeah. So Forbidden Fruit is by Fernando Chamarelli. He's an artist from Brazil, who's amazing. He does like, he'll do art just like that, just like taking over a giant building. So he's super talented, and we've only gotten to do one design with him, but we definitely look forward to working with Fernando again. The other piece is Banana Glue by Cam, who's our creative director, who's basically been, you know, a brand partner since the very beginning and close friend, and kind of like a key person that makes everything sing for us for Califari. And she actually is the same person who designed the entire calendar for us. That was, you know, doing the calendar design was really cool, because again, just like it's talking about like sort of the storytelling through art, we got to sort of like, you know, tell the story of the seasons of 2023 via our art pieces. So it was kind of like a new way for us to kind of, you know, consider our art and use it in our visual language. So yeah, when you get it, there's also, we added little famous quotations with each month, sort of, you know, that are sort of, you know, influenced by the season as well.
And so,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
would you just, we're talking about the art, but I don't think we've totally contextualized it. So this is a calendar that you've put together working with the Last Prisoner Project. And,
yes.
And these are the monthly pieces of art that go into that calendar that we're looking at.
Yes, thank you, David. Yeah, so so we actually got contacted by a company in Germany who wanted to do a benefit calendar for the German Hemp Alliance, and I thought that was a really cool idea. And they ended up not panning out, but then they got me pregnant with this idea of doing a benefit. And so I reached out to Mary Bailey from Last Prisoner Project, and she agreed to let us do these calendars with their charity. And so we went off to the races, and this is our first ever benefit art calendar, where half the proceeds go to benefit the Last Prisoner Project, and hopefully the other half go to us doing a new calendar in the new year, because it's been just a great project for us, just as far as like, you know, a creative expression for the brand, and hopefully we can raise a little bit of money for one of our favorite causes.
Huge fan of Last Prisoner Project. Just in case anyone in the audience isn't familiar, can you tell us about their cause and what they're up to?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, they've been a charity dedicated to freeing wrongfully or convicted cannabis prisoners who are nonviolent and people of color who most likely have gotten a very unfair sentence and treatment. And their organization helps identify these people, get them out, helps give them a life when they get out, and also does even smaller cool things, just like letter writing drives to people in jail and things like that, and just looking out for cannabis convicts who should not be there. It's like with the whole Brittany Griner thing coming out, it's like we're so glad that she got freed and that ordeal is over. But it always, shines a light on just like how many people are locked up just here in the United States for the same thing, and how insane that is. So yeah, so that's the Last Prisoner Project.
That's pretty awesome. And I think again, we're talking about creativity. It's amazing that you're able to combine art and cannabis, and then take that energy and really focus it on cause and social equity and the things that are meaningful to not only the industry but society as a whole. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely feel lucky to be able to do anything. And the problems, unfortunately, the problems in cannabis don't end there. So I wish there's like there's just more and more things continue to come to light where there's people need help and there's desperation, and it shouldn't be like that. Just like so.
I want to quickly call out a comment from someone in the audience, Kim Casey. Kim is starting a cannabis education magazine dropping 2023 from the gorgeous island of Bermuda. The magazine is called Bermuda High Society. Sounds super cool. Come back and share some links when you have some ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sounds great. And let us know if you need any art for your magazine. We'd be happy to collaborate and get you some art. So.
Speaking of art, Jason, NFTs, you touched upon that a little bit earlier, and you spoke about how for some of your artists, it's blown up for them. You also, I don't know if you meant this intentionally, but you mentioned that year, which I kind of chuckled at, like that year, the year of NFTs, as if they're still as hot as they were. But I'm curious. I have heard many people talk about NFTs within the cannabis space in ways that don't make sense to me. I've heard other people talk about NFTs related to art and related to other things that do make sense to me. Could you help us get our head around art and NFTs and cannabis and NFTs, and are those the same thing? Are they different things? Like what's the buzz all about, and how are you leveraging it?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's it's a rabbit hole of a question and a thing. And so let's see, I'll do my best here. But so yeah, being an art company, as soon as the NFT craze kicked in, which was the beginning of 2021, we got called up by our friends at Merida Capital saying we got to do an NFT project and we want to invest in Califari and do NFTs. And we're like, great, let's do it. And so, so we launched 5 benefit NFTs on 4/20/2021 and sold all 5. And that was also a benefit for Last Prisoner Project. And so, so we did our first 5 NFTs, and then we said, okay, what the hell are NFTs actually? Let's do some research and figure this out. And so I definitely, did a dive into the world of NFTs, trying to determine exactly what Califari's next move would be for that. Like right now you've got, I think the biggest sort of cannabis, NFT thing is called the Crypto Cannabis Club. And they basically, I feel like that entity sort of covered the market for basically being like a discount club for cannabis lovers, you know. So if you own one of their crypto heads, you know, you get all these perks. So a lot of the big deal with NFTs is utility. You know, okay, that's a nice piece of art, but what does it get me? Does it have some kind of value? Is it going to blow up in its ETH crypto value? Or is it going to get me access to discounts? Or am I going to be part of a club? Or everything, you know, NFT has to have some level of utility or use out in the world, at least for a lot of these plays, you know, that I've seen. You know, I'm the owner of a Blazed Cats NFTs. I've got 2 Blazed Cats, and the Blazed Cats were launched by this group that was also, these were benefit NFTs for mental health, and these guys were trying to take the piss out of Stoner Cats, which was the play by Ashton Kutcher. And I just kind of thought that was cute and interesting, so I joined them. You know, right now I'm getting hit up by something called Canaland, which sounds super sketchy. It's a cannabis coin.
That's cool.
I've won a few free. I haven't gone to try to cash them in because it just seems weird. But you know, but so I'm, you know, and I've been looking into how I'm going to launch NFTs still for us, and I'm deep in the R&D stage for that, really, to be honest, right now. And my interest in them is twofold. Like, well, I think moving forward, I think there could be value and interest with NFTs tied to consumption lounges, because, you know, a consumption lounge, you know, and I believe in NFTs that kind of can create community, because I've seen them do that well, you know. So I could see NFTs and consumption lounges kind of working together well, because the NFT is outside of the crypto space. The value in the NFT has nothing to do with the value of crypto going up and down, which we know is now a volatile space and subject to any hills or valleys at any time. So so if it's something that's connecting you to a community, then I see value there. You know, and for Califari, we're going to be launching a loyalty rewards club sort of thing in the new year. And so I'm thinking about if we can make NFTs part of prize inventory, then we'll do that, because that's what's great. That for us is, you know, NFTs, there's free shipping with NFTs. So if somebody's winning an NFT poster, you know, I can email it to them via, you know, a crypto wallet. Whereas somebody wins a poster or a shirt or something, we got to send it to them and it costs more money.
Are you thinking like a proof of attendance?
Yeah. Well, we're doing maybe for events. I mean, I'm actually, you know, we're actively looking to partner with consumption lounges. I'm actually in talks with one in Nevada. You know, we're interested in doing sort of co-branded packaging deals and creating immersive lounges within consumption lounges. You know, we're talking about a mini lounge that we, you know, a little Califari space that you go into within a larger space. So we're interested in all those things, and how, you know, just like that, we're interested in creating immersive art experiences for cannabis lovers. And if we can work NFTs in as a way to, I don't know, to either to create membership or community, or give people something of value, we're interested in that. You know, we've definitely looked into the different ways that you can gamify NFTs, and I'm super interested in that. But at the same time, you know, there's, you know, it's time consuming rabbit holes that you can go down to. So if you're
totally.
it can just take over. And so that's just mindful of that.
I have to call out Jacqueline Rosales, who's in our audience and who is jumping out of her skin. Jacqueline is a very renowned speaker about NFTs and gaming, and also about cannabis. So the two of you should definitely
definitely. Yeah, Jacqueline, reach out to me. I'd love to talk shop about all things gaming and NFTs and cannabis, of course.
You know, it's interesting too. Jai just calls out Meow Wolf, you know, but this really plays like into your sweet spot when you think about it. I mean, we were talking about earlier about creating events, creating musicals. You know, we were talking about the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We were talking about all these things where people come to participate, and that, you know, that added value, that VIP experience, whatever those things are, that makes sense to me with NFTs. The truth is, is that, those things all existed before NFTs did, right? So, this NFT is this digital link from, digital thread from things that already existed. And that's why I often question their value. Like, hey, you could have a partnership with a consumption lounge, and only people that are loyal followers or have a special T-shirt or show up in something that they've gotten from Califari, like that stuff has already been done. So I often question what's the value. At least the way people are talking about using it, but it's always intriguing to me. And I guess you said it, 2021, it was the super hot topic, and I guess I think it was Burnt Banksy who bought a Banksy and then burnt it and filmed it and got more for the filming of a Banksy and became himself. I mean, it was a crazy year in the art world as well. So it's interesting. I'm curious. How important is branding in the cannabis equation?
Wow. Well, so I mean, I think now it's more important than ever. It's the funny time because especially in California, you can go buy cannabis just about anywhere, or definitely in New York. But if you want repeat customers, it's super important. I think, for us too, if we were just trying to sell cannabis, we would be out of jobs right now. But and having created a brand, we have legs to go forward in, and like what's like, I'll just, the Q4 for us has been very painful, and I think if we didn't have a brand, we wouldn't be moving into the new year even, because, like just straight cannabis sales have been, nothing short of a beating, for most people in the state. And we're no different, so I mean, branding is it's very important for repeat customers, and really just kind of like, for me, it's the kind of everything in the space.
Yeah, all about creating those experience. So Jason, we're almost at time, but I have one more question for you. And this is something that we like to ask people at the end of the show. And that is, can you recommend a book, a movie, or an experience that business people in cannabis should know about?
A book? I mean, you know what? I mean, actually, yeah, this is embarrassing because I'm only like about like a few chapters into it. But 'cause I didn't know this question was coming. But actually, like my stepdad, who's a doctor, recommended this book to me. It's called Marijuana on My Mind. It's by
Cool.
Timit Cermak, who's a doctor, and I'm only like about like 59 pages into this, and it's incredible, because he's coming from like a doctor's perspective, but he's also able to speak on the culture, and so that's the book I'm most excited about right now. It's just kind of the one that I just started a few weeks ago. And then again, as I said, I've read tons of books about branding over the years. I don't have a specific one to read, but when I got David's book, I was like, it just kind of just the breakdown of how, of just all the different types of brands. Like I thought, okay, he's not gonna be able to define Califari in this book. And then I'm like, damn, there we are. And the
Gotcha.
art types. So I
But
definitely recommend
what's
it.
interesting too is, and sorry, just to throw this out, is people often think like, oh, because I said there were 14 cannabis brand archetypes, like that's it. In fact, since the book came out, I mean, I said to Swami and Nikki from Swami Select, they're the 15th because now they're a spiritual brand. So I think these brand archetypes should keep growing, and I think they're not they're layered, right? There could be an art brand and a social equity brand and all these other things all layered out, but it's just those hooks that catch our attention, and that as brand makers we should be aware of.
Definitely. I mean, it was just a breakdown. It just gave me an understanding of just where we sat in the larger equation, and how that worked. And in the future there'll be hybrid archetypes brands, right? And maybe we're one of them because we're trying to bridge the art and the spiritual. So we're more focused on the art, but you know, we're gonna call Swami up, do a collaboration with him. So
I think the more things that are in society, the more things that change, the more brands will change, right? You know, brands
yeah,
are a reflection of where our interests and where our focuses are. So
definitely 100%.
and I'm sorry, that was Marijuana on My Mind. Is that the name of
Yeah, it's Marijuana on My Mind, The Science and Mystique of Cannabis. And it's by Timon Cermak, who's a doctor. Basically my stepdad is a doctor. He's, you know, he's very straight. He was the doctor that got David Crosby into rehab in the 70s and 80s. And so he was on the front lines of all things rock and roll. And I guess this guy, Timon Cermak, is the associate that they basically send all like the drug patients to this guy. And he was really good at counseling them and just did a lot of like field research, and it's culminated in this book. And just from having read the beginning, I just responded to how well he was able to really kind of give the medical doctor's perspective, but also really understand the culture at the same time. Like that is refreshing to me. It wasn't just one or the other. So it's like an even balance so far.
Very cool. Jason, thank you so much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. You bring so much to the industry. You have so much knowledge. And we're watching what you're doing. So keep doing it.
Right on. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Now we know where to get our 2023 calendar and where to buy our next reading material. So this is great. Thanks so much, Jason.
Thank you. Right. Yeah. Califari.com or Amazon, search for Califari Calendar to benefit Last Prisoner Project. Definitely plugging that one right now. So
perfect. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Wow. And that brings us to the end of another show. I am super excited about next week. Adriana, you and I will be going over 2022, the year in review. We'll be picking out our top highlights and lowlights. And we ask the audience to participate too. So come next week with your highlights and lowlights. We'll also be throwing out some predictions for 2023. So again, I'll ask the audience to come and bring your predictions. What do you think is going to happen next year? We're super excited to chat about our ideas and hear what everybody else has to say.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's our last show of 2022.
Indeed. So we look forward to seeing everybody next week, the 29th of December, if you're available. Please join us if you want to get away from the family for a few minutes. come and sneak away and spend 45 minutes with us. It's definitely worth your time, and we love chatting with people and building communities. So we'll be here next week. We hope you will too. Thank you so much. And again, think about your predictions and bring them next week.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Happy holidays.